Buenos noches, bienvenidos. Hoy es el domingo, Monster Talk Rally. Just kidding, y'all. It's Sheeple. Hi, my name's Sean, and I'm here with Jesus. What up, Jesus?
You used to call me on the cell phone late night when I need your love.
I need your love.
I need it 2 times. Another one.
Get the fuck out of here. Welcome to another weekly institution of Sheeple. Even though institution doesn't really...
Definitely not the words you're looking for.
No, words are fucking hard. Anyways, topic for this week, Sheeple, our podcast, yeah. Social manipulation. What is social manipulation, you might ask?
Well, man, it's a lot of things, but we're going to cover a grand spectrum of social manipulation. So, we're going to start with the first segment of social manipulation.
But what is social manipulation? I feel like it's making a mold for society, a cookie cutter society, so people are submissive and obedient to what needs to be done.
You have to have pawns, Sean.
Of course.
How do you make pawns? You make
social
them
manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry
where does
that
that
blocking my face there? I mean, you just couldn't handle all of this sexy at one time. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so where does this start? It starts early on in life, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely molded into us from. I would say from the TV shows we start to watch as children, but that's more of a recent trend. It's more of when you start school for the first time.
They start making you learn what they want you to learn. Our education system is so flawed. It just blows my mind, the stuff they try to make us learn, and how everyone, I'm not going to say everyone because everyone's different, but how most of the people who exit this education system, they don't know how to live life. They don't know how to adult, you know.
Oh yeah. How are you going to prepare people for life and then put them into life and then start them out just in debt? Sometimes, most of the time, you know, back in the day when you turned 18, you know, oh man, I'm going to leave my parents' house. That never happens. Ever. you going to be there and for a couple more years. Quite a few years. Depending on what you do. Or how motivated you are to leave. Exactly. Some people are on the ball when they turn 18.
Yeah, some people are, but that's the thing. It just depends on that family household. Because if it was universal, then by the time everyone turned 18, by the time everyone graduated high school, they would be ready to go for the real world. But that's not how it is. So it's because they don't learn it all in this education system. It really lies a lot on what the parents teach the children, you know?
Exactly.
If the parents sufficiently prepare the child for life in the ways that the school doesn't, then yeah, they're ready to go at 18. But if not, if the parents are busy, if the parents just don't have that know forth themselves, then you're kind of SOL. You're kind of stuck with mommy and daddy for a while.
But then who do you think that should fall on at that point? Like, should it fall on the education system to pick up the holes left in the molding of their child? Or should it fall on parents actually being parents?
That is the thing. But then again, it starts with parents knowing that for themselves. You know, like, if the parent doesn't know how to adult, then how the hell does the child supposed to learn if he doesn't get that from the school? Like, well, I'm not saying the education system should be able to make you a perfect adult, because that's just not going to happen. There's no such thing as true perfection, you know. But it should definitely do a lot better than what it's doing now. Like, just simple things that they could be doing that they're just not. Like, you go through high school, you don't learn how to pay taxes. Something that you're gonna do as soon as you enter that workforce. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So how are you supposed to be like, oh yeah? Totally don't know how to do that.
Side question.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to fill out your first W-2?
Let's not talk about that. Let's not get personal.
How long did it take you, John?
You know what? All I'm gonna say is TurboTax is a fantastic free product. You know, it does a lot of the work for you.
Not sponsored, but it really does.
Yeah.
But okay, so all right, you were born in the more like, man, back in the day, we didn't have that.
Yeah. See, if I had to do that all on the paper,
It
man,
was
I
either-
would be so fucked up.
It was either that or
sideways.
like go to like a
Go and
place-
have someone do it
Yeah,
for you.
and then you're gonna be paying them like $80 to do a simple tax return,
Oh,
or like
no.
even further back, it was like closer to like $300, depending on what you were doing with your income tax, like just how much you made or how complicated
Yeah.
the process was. Like it was just ridiculous on how much they gouged that. But a little sidetracked.
Yeah. So back to this education system. You agree that it's flawed, right?
Oh yeah, it's substantially flawed, but I'm not sure if I agree with that beginning statement. Like I believe it should fall on the parents, but then at the same time, who's the original source of that knowledge?
Exactly. Who's
Like,
going to teach the parent
I,
who doesn't know?
I understand that, but if
So where do you think the education system in America today falls short? Not necessarily saying it started out like this today, but it's going back a few years. But anyways, go for it.
just the cattling through school, like it's just like a herd of people. Most of the time, the teacher doesn't even know you by your own name. Like they're looking at charts and calling your name for a reason because they don't know your name unless you stand out from the rest. That also
Or
molds you into having to stand out from the rest.
Yeah. If you went to a large school, which I went to a fairly small high school. You know, my graduating class was 53 people, so the teachers kind of knew your name, but they also kind of knew all your personal stuff, They really got into your personal life. Like they knew who you were dating, they knew who your parents were. I don't like that. I thought that was kind of weird. It's like,
Small town, bro.
yeah.
Small town. It's a small town mentality. I think small town syndrome is.
See, there's two types of people that live in the small towns. And me and my sister are perfect examples of this, you know. I went through a small town, I could not wait to leave just because I couldn't stand that mentality. My sister, on the other hand, she's still there. I don't think she's ever going to leave that small town. That kind of breaks my heart, though.
Maybe I could
No,
talk her into
okay.
leaving.
No, we're off topic again. Back to the education system. We will not go down this road on this fucking podcast, sir. Anyways, education, where does it fall short?
Okay. Oh, it's the lack of attention.
Yeah.
If you have a class of like 40, which is your average class size is about 40, maybe smaller, maybe like 20. Depending on the city you're on, it's probably 40.
Yeah.
Like Dallas County is probably like 40 a class, only because it's a very dense population. So, you know, gotta cram them in there like sardines. The second would be the lack of everyday knowledge. I'll give you that there's a lack of setting us up for the future. But I still think the majority of that should fall on the parents.
Like, I
You know,
understand-
we should be teaching people how to do their taxes. We should be teaching people how to, you know, wisely save money.
Yeah.
You know, talk about percentages of interest, the benefits of long-term savings accounts and CDLs with our children. Like, this is like knowledge that will benefit you as you get older. And even though you forget and your memory degrades over time, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this stuff back from high school.
Back in
So,
the day. Like, I have that foothold in
Yeah.
it. Like, at least you have that baseline as opposed to stumbling in there blindly. Like, what do I do?
Oh yeah, it's definitely like a gap in real world knowledge in our school system.
Yeah.
And if economics teaches anything, that if there's a gap, there's an avenue to fill that gap. There's something to be benefited from filling that gap.
Yeah.
That's how new inventions become popular. They find a gap in, something someone knows is done. They find the gap, they fill the gap for that market. It's the same thing when it comes to knowledge. If you have a gap in a knowledge, you have the opportunity to fill that gap. Why not give us a life's course, a real life's course, not just something that's preparing us to be parents?
Yeah, I definitely think you should be taught how not only to be a parent, because some people might not want to be a parent, but we should definitely be taught how to be an adult, like baseline.
But I definitely agree with you on that, but that's definitely where it begins.
Yeah.
Like, we set ourselves up for being an adult, but then we also have to set up the young adults. We're throwing out 18-year-olds into a society that is not very friendly to young adults. Your insurance costs more, just to let you know. Once you turn 25, oh my god, does it get so much cheaper. But up until that point, you're fucked. So, it's the transitioning period in between that last stage of teenage years to adulthood is what we need to focus on. But in order to do that, we also have to have the right infrastructure behind it.
Definitely.
We're living in a society that technology is making it manual labor jobs less and less and less and less
Disappearing
frequent.
into thin air.
Like, you could feasibly make a living in the 1950s doing a heavy labor-intensive job.
Yeah.
In current day, those are just being taken up by machines, large factories, large production lines. It doesn't mean that there's not a human presence there, but there's a lot less of a human presence there, and the human presence that is there is usually
like an overseer, someone who's inspecting the machines to make sure the machines are doing their jobs, but not necessarily the machines themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely a limited job field.
Yeah.
So as manual labor jobs are being eradicated, which in my eyes it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because it does take a transitional period. There's going to be a transitional period that it's either going to be, I'm going to have to go back to school, or I'm just not going to have any decent work, which unfortunately that's just the only feasible route we can do. But we can make it easier on them by making college affordable.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you're going to require anyone to make a decent living, someone who's not going to have to work 60 hours a week on these baseline jobs, then you're going to have to make that education easier to get to, or else these poorer families who couldn't normally afford an institutionalized education, a higher education, then they're just fucked.
Yeah. It's pretty much, it's in favor of people with money, and I understand private colleges have to be there. If you want greater education, you're not really going to cut it with something you can get from a community college. Let's just face that. Unless you want to be a teacher. You want to be a teacher, go for it. But gotta help your soul. Kids are jerks. I used to be one. We all did. But in order for us to mold a society that's more intelligent and more capable of handling being an adult, we have to start with the basics, which starts from infancy. Like 1 through 18 was a blur. I remember some bits and pieces of like my teenage years, like some funny moments, some fucked up moments, like some moments that I regret kind of, but not really. And then adulthood happened. Like my early 20s were kind of the same thing. It was kind of an early blur for me. Like I know a lot of cool stuff happened in my early 20s, and a lot of bad shit happened in my early 20s. And then I ended up at the age I am now.
Hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, it does. Trying to make something out of yourself in your late 20s is difficult, people. Please plan ahead and focus on something.
While you have the time, definitely use that wisely.
Oh, yeah.
Think of your future. Don't necessarily worry to the extent that you're going to ruin your early youth preparing for the future, but definitely don't go in there blindly.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you're not going to go to school, make sure you're doing something that you love to do. Don't just be lazy about it, and don't just
be looking for a handout. Actually want to better yourself. Don't make someone else have to better yourself for you.
Well, I wouldn't say a handout, because our welfare system is broken.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying if you need stuff like that, if you need assistance to live, definitely get that social funding program.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't. I'm talking about growing up and looking at your future. You can't just sit there and be like, okay, my daddy's gonna provide for me. My daddy's got money.
Oh, yeah.
You have to want to do something with your life. Don't just expect them to provide your life for you, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And as long as your life meets your terms, then regardless of how much money you make or what kind of social status you have, as long as you're happy,
see, that's the
what
thing.
else matters, man?
That's the thing. Happiness breaks the social manipulation.
Yeah.
Happiness busts you out of that cookie cutter mold they place you into. And so many people don't do that. So many people just drudge through life on the day-to-day just because they've been socially manipulated to believe that's what they need to do. They believe that they need to work this job they hate. They believe that in order to secure a future, they just have to do these things. And it's just like work. But if you're truly happy, man, then nothing else really matters.
Exactly. But you know what I feel like what breaks this mold completely? And what ties us all together in the end? It's going to be cheesy as hell. Trust me. It's love.
Of course, man. Love's at the basis of everything. Love is the most powerful force out there.
Not like a love, like, you know what I mean. Not like... Just hey. You buy me dinner first.
No, dinner.
Not some cheap piece of ass.
Anyways, what were we saying?
But the love that we're so scared to trust people that fear drives us to have animosity versus just, you don't have to trust people to love them. If you just treat people the way that you personally want to be treated, nobody wants to be treated like a piece of shit.
No, just be a decent human being, for Christ's sakes. Don't be a fear-mongering hate monster. You know, you can't let this... Okay, your fear comes from the social manipulation because it tells you that if you go outside of this cookie-cutter mold, then you're going to be fucked and your life is going to be over. But if you bust through that, if you bust through the fear with love and the power of happiness, you know, you can see the sun shine through the clouds on a stormy night, on a stormy day, because, you know, there's no sun tonight.
Imagine if we could live in a society where school wasn't something we had to worry about. It was a decision versus a debt. Because that's definitely what you play with, a decision versus a debt.
Yeah.
And really eliminated manual labor jobs and give real meaning and real pay to specific specialized jobs. Everybody could have a purpose at that point, do the things that they love to do, and make a livable wage, if not more.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to... I understand necessity drives the rich.
Yeah.
And I understand economics to a point where I see the need of some of the greedy things we do as humans. But
we take our greed way too far.
Oh yeah.
we let it override our fear, not our fear, we let it override our love and say that we need these things more than anything. Forget love, forget happiness, I need this, no.
It comes down to, like I said before, what are you willing to give up? We all pay a price for the things that we have in our lives. We all pay a price for success. You pay a price for that car. It's money.
Yeah, it's
How you got that money?
Ball and chain, literally.
Oh yeah.
They own your ass until
Oh, yeah.
you get that shit.
God help you if you don't have the money for your car now. It's never happened to me, but I can imagine that to be a horrible situation. I've had a car break down and not have money to get another one, which really sucked. Or fix the one that broke down. But when we start becoming less and less desensitized and start treating people like people and
We
not
have to
just
see
another
that.
object.
We have to see that everyone is just like us. You know, every person is us. You know, but we don't treat them like that. We just throw them to the side, like, oh, I'm gonna step on you in order to climb through this ladder. Oh, I'm gonna kick you in the face just so I can advance myself. And that's because they've been manipulated to believe that the only way they can succeed in society is
Remember,
by pushing everyone
I
else.
told you schools meant for making you stand out. How do you stand out? By stepping on other people.
That's not the only way.
No, but it's the
You can choose my
easiest-
route.
It's definitely the
It's not the
easiest.
easiest.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No. You know what the easiest way to stand out? It's my way. You know how I stand out? Because I'm fucking weird as shit and I'm doing things like this and everyone's like, wow, what's that guy doing? Oh my god, wow. See? You noticed that guy.
Yeah.
You noticed that guy standing out.
Like you waving.
Like you play the alarm too, man. Damn,
You should definitely go to Comic Con as that. Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. Yeah.
And on that note, I think it's time we start, funneling this down. Funneling this down to an end for our podcast this week. Feel like we covered a lot of notes.
What if I'm not done?
Well, you know what? This here timer says we're running out of time, sir.
Time is irrelevant.
Time is very irrelevant. Time is nothing.
Exactly, so it makes it irrelevant.
Exactly. But
Time is the most wasted time in the world.
logic.
Does that create a paradox? Time is the
The
biggest
universe
time.
destroying paradox, damn it. We can't have this.
Everything's collapsing in ourselves. Green screen effect. Hopefully, right here.
But since our human society is based on the distance between one event to another event, which creates time, we need to use that. So, I definitely think we covered a lot of material on this podcast, but there's so much more we need to talk about for social manipulation.
Yeah, so we kind of got stuck on the education system. And I fair warned, I did tell Sean that I was going to be stuck on that for a hot minute.
But that's okay, so we're going to do parts of other things as well, so this will not be the only social manipulation video.
Definitely not. But it's definitely not going to be only social manipulation. We definitely have some more ideas coming up. We definitely have a lot of plans and a lot of development coming up. We just bought a lot of stuff,
It's about to go down.
Like if you saw some of the MacGyver production. AKA our first video was just like that was just like
Bro. First video. It was
sodomy.
sodomy.
So we definitely had some technical difficulties, but we're back to finish the outro to this video.
It's time to go. We got some stuff plotting. We're plotting. We're gonna. I'm
Maybe
spitting everywhere.
planning as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Plotting and planning.
Oh, planting the seed for the future of our series.
Sex
Anyways.
innuendo.
Hodgepodge, Special Wednesday, another mini special thing coming up, but we can't really talk about that because it's still in the formulating processes. But yeah, that's on the horizon for people.
Means we don't have the money for all of it yet.
Yeah, money's a motherfucker. But yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. See you next week.
Bye.
Time to go. Bye.